Now we are ready to start the round table, and may I ask our three guests, Bror Samelin, Giovanni Schiume, and Georg Weingartner, to please put on your videos so that we can have some good face-to-face conversation. So, of course, what I'd like to do, there were many good ideas in the keynotes about different perspectives from different people, not one future of work, but many futures, the great resignations, resilience in the face of the unexpected, 100-year lives, 60 years of work, 13 different jobs or employers, creating different work identities, different skills for working artistically, and of course, what it means to be human in the age of AI. And I'm hoping that in the conversation now between the three guests, we'll get some ideas, extend the ideas that we've heard, and maybe provoke ourselves into getting new ones. What I'm planning to do is to introduce each of the guests in turn, let them take 4 or 5 minutes to present their ideas about the futures of work. After the three have presented, then jump into a discussion about what you heard and what you think. I'd like to start with Bror Samelin. Bror was a former advisor for innovation systems at the European Commission for many years. He left the Commission 2 years ago. His innovation focus was always on open innovation 2.0, on co-creation. He works with industry. He's a board member of Industry Commons Foundation. He's had various advisory positions. He's a writer, a speaker, lives in Finland and in France. Bror, let me ask you, from your point of view, what are the most important things to consider when thinking about the future of work?
Thank you, Hank, for your kind introduction. My starting point is really looking at the issue from human-centric value creation perspective. Because again, first of all, we need to look at the job itself. And what I see as one of the big issues is the loss of job appreciation. There are no good jobs or bad jobs. There are only jobs which are well done or less well done. So that is I think one important thing. And for doing your job well, it requires skills and pride of the work. So how do you capture the pride, motivation in this changing landscape where you also see that the jobs are becoming increasingly interdependent? Jobs evolve, disappear, are created in, I would say, rather hectic manner, but also in an unexpected manner, so that as such creates insecurity. So how do we get the motivation for change? How do we get the safety which is needed for both creativity and curiosity, which are essential elements when we are looking at the value creation in new kinds of jobs? When we look at the jobs and their future, we can say roughly that what is left for humans is actually human type of work, which is always collaborative and creative or co-creative. All the rest of jobs can be mechanized, automated in, I would say, relatively near future. And we need to look at the collaborative, co-creative area content and how to create those kind of conditions for the job. It is proven that the more you have multidisciplinarity in a team, the more breakthrough results you get. So again, how do we look at that from organizational perspective? That means that in a complex world, we cannot look at organizational boundaries anymore. And therefore, I would like to introduce the word organization as the future metaphor for an organization. It's organic. It takes in competencies, releases competencies as the tasks evolve. And really that kind of dynamic organization can be nurtured by different means, which arts is one of the key elements for creativity and also creating curiosity. When looking at the environment as such, I would advocate very strongly for societal commons and industrial commons as the engagement, critical elements for engagement platforms for new forms of jobs. We need to have, as I said, a stepping stone upon which we can go in a safe and secure and motivating manner. And here I would very much echo with what Clara Blume earlier said on experimentation and prototyping, because I really would like to see these kind of new job prerequisites, conditions to be explored by real world experimentation and prototyping in different fields where we see the current job profiles changing, and also the skills demands for new approaching. Good examples of new skills which we haven't heard about yet is those which are required for orchestration of teams, not controlling, not managing, for curating contents which then is to be merged, etc. So again, it's about the connectivity, curation, and orchestration of the skills which are needed to perform value-adding tasks in the future. How do we prototype it is the big question.
Terrific, Roar, thank you. Excellent introduction. I'd like to move now to Dr. Giovanni Sciuma, if I pronounce your name with my full Italian accent. Giovanni is full professor in knowledge and digital innovation management and head of the business engineering school at LUM University in Italy. He's an international academic consultant, an expert in knowledge-based organizational development, transformation, arts-driven innovation, creative partnerships connecting art and business, and strategic knowledge management for digital transformation. And I know from my talk with Giovanni yesterday, he is very interested in trust, transformation, and heartful workplaces. Giovanni, how to make organizations capable of continuous transformation? What skills and attitudes do we need?
Thank you, Hank, and thank you to everyone. So I think in a nutshell, also listening the previous speakers, what I believe is very important in the future for work profession is to move from the paradigm of knowledge worker to what I call artful worker. And what I mean, which is somehow resonating with what Bror was saying, mentioning the human-centric value creation perspective, or Clara talking about artful thinking. What I mean is that in the future, what will be very important to keep your position and to contribute to the value chain in the organization is to put in place different skills. In the knowledge economy, we have been focusing very much in the ability of people of exercising their cognitive capacity to solve problems, to develop even more their specialization, and to perform in an efficient way different tasks, different ability activities in the organization. But nowadays, with artificial intelligence, machine learning, and probably in the future, quantum computing, all this computational, rational, logic activity will be performed much better by computers. So what is left to people in terms of contribution in the work activities? And what so far, I say so far because we don't know in the future, what is really distinguishing human being from machine is their aesthetic capabilities, their ability of leveraging their emotions, their deeper human dimension, which is related to what we were mentioning, not only collaboration and co-creation, but is very much about exercising what we generally call creativity, but actually is what is related to our instinct brain, to the amygdala, to the repository of emotion, and is where the capacity for energy, for emotion, for spirituality, ethics reside. So in the future, I think the future of for professionals is really to learn, not to develop not only the know-how, so the ability of doing things, which still will be an important dimension, but to develop what I call the know-feel, the ability of engaging and using and be in touch with your emotion, and to deploy and exploit this emotion for different purposes. And this is related to some of the issues that we were talking about. Be passionate about what you do, discovering passion in your work. And another concept, which is nowadays another buzzword, is engagement. Make sure that people give the best of themselves in their activities. In order to be engaged, you need to be artful, because there are no professional in the world that are more passionate about what they do than artists. They know and they do what they do because they love. And I think this is what will be a distinguishing feature in the future in the workplace, both to make the work life more satisfactory, but also to give the best of people in the activities. And finally, my last concept, when we talk about, we are kind of scared about the future of losing jobs. But if we think our work condition a few decades ago, we will discover that we were living in much worse conditions. And so I am optimist that the technology will help us to, will give us more space for our enjoying our life, and also tools for exercising our creativity. And here is where I see the connection between arts and human being. Technology are expanding our capacity as an artifact of exercising our creativity. So they can take from us all that dirty job related to the rational and the computational dimension to leave us to exercise what is really make us a human, which is this creative power that as human being we are equipped with. And then really my final concept, I believe that everyone is born as an artist, and I have with me two works of arts. One is from my son, 5 years old. This is a drawing Lego from Ninjago, and this is from another of my children. So they is a kind of sculpture. So the point is that we born artists, but we forget to be artists. So I think we need to discover this capacity for creativity and enjoying the discovery and exploration. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks very much, because this is really bringing the topic of work and artfulness together. Very interesting. The third guest in our roundtable is Georg Weingartner. He is the head of international technology cooperation at the Außenwirtschaft Austria, which is the international internationalization and innovation agency of the Austrian economy. Georg, he graduated in law and business administration, joined the Außenwirtschaft Austria 2004. He was posted 15 years abroad in very many different countries, Bangkok, Abu Dhabi, Tehran. He returned to Austria in 2017, became head of the International Technology Cooperation, and is engaged in building international networks of agile teams and especially agile virtual teams. So, Georg, from your perspective of agile and virtual teams working together online all over the world, what's the future of work?
Well, thanks, Hank, for the introduction. Well, I'm currently engaged in transforming a company or an organization which has traditionally a very hierarchical and traditional working culture into something more dynamic, something more agile. We have been actually active for about 45 years in about 100 countries, and we have well over 1,000 people all over the world. And we have created a type of dynamic virtual network over the past few years, which is essentially based on several factors I would like to elaborate on, which I consider are very, very important, and which to a certain point also have already been mentioned by my esteemed colleagues here and by the keynote speakers before. One is that I believe that a dynamic organization has to be based on a certain flexibility in time and space and scope of work. What does that mean? That means that in a flexible dynamic organization, as we are now trying to establish in our networks, there is no thing like a permanent work for someone. There is no need for someone to work from a certain location. There is no need from someone to work at a certain time. So essentially, there is a big flexibility for all the collaborating colleagues, which of course poses a sort of challenge to managing this type of dynamic organization. The second thing, which is a very important point in my opinion, is diversity. I mentioned already we have teams which have colleagues from about 100 countries. And with diversity, I mean diversity in a cultural context, I mean diversity in an age context, I mean diversity in a gender context. So that has also been already mentioned before, that this diversity brings creativity and of course also brings certain challenges for managing these type of teams. And the cross-cultural aspect is an aspect which is, in my opinion, very, very important, in particular if people from multinational teams are concerned to do the task. The third point I consider very, very important is decentralization, and corresponding with that also the use of collaboration tools. So I believe that agile, virtual collaboration is not possible without the tools which are necessary for that. And I would then, because of this, give would put my technical focus rather on the collaboration tools also, so not to forget these type of tools, because they are actually the platforms which are used to get the results if the teams have to work together. In my opinion, one of the most critical factors essentially is the management of these type of, and the organization of these types of agile teams. And I believe that management is rather in the future a facilitating task. It is an enabling task. It is not so much a management task. And this has been also, in my opinion, shown very nice by this movie The Trainee of Anya, which she was showing before, that type of old school working attitude of controlling, of management is a type of management style which does not fit to the world of working of tomorrow. We have seen that already now, but I believe this will increase in the future. And the additional issue is that the cultural fluency, which has been so much stressed also by Clara when she spoke about that as one of the major artistic characteristics which might be interesting for the working person of the future. This cultural fluency is also a very important part which has to be to a certain extent embodied by anyone who wants to direct such types of teams in the future. So to put it all together, to sum it up, I would say that the manager of teams of the future, the manager of a team working with methods of the future, has to be rather a director of an orchestra than he has to be a manager of today.
Excellent way to wrap that up. Director of an orchestra relates to what Bror said about the skill of orchestration. I'd like to invite the three of you to jump in and react to things that you heard. Is the director of the orchestra, Bror, very similar to what you mean by orchestration, or would you take that even further?
Well, I think what is important, well, I would say yes. You need to have a conductor for an orchestra to make the orchestra play well together. The competencies tuned together. But if you look at that from modern work organizations perspective, you need also curators who are responsible for certain topics, contents in a larger scale, in the same way as you see curators needed for arts exhibition, who are bringing together skillfully, well, competency from different areas to common domain. And then you need to have, as I said, the bridger, because the bridger which is connecting the curated contents together. Because again, when you look at where innovation happens, and we are looking for innovation, we are not looking for more of the same old. You need to have contents meeting, colliding with each other's, sparking new ideas, fostering new actions, ideas in a way which is not necessarily predicted. So you need to have those bridgers whose role is to bring different disciplines together, because otherwise that kind of natural interaction is rather rare. You need to have an organization or organization which is deliberately fostering those kind of collisions. And of course, which management school is teaching these professions nowadays? None. Or which organization is in general fostering these professions? Very few, because these are cut away in these austerity times because they are non-productive.
What is productivity and what value does productivity have? We heard from Oliver when he reported on the Knowledge Huddle, there was a question about lots of new technologies, but not so much productivity. How important is productivity in the future? What would you say, Georg?
Well, I believe that productivity can be defined in various ways. If it is only a type of KPI-driven definition which you take, then I believe this will not be the type of productivity which is defining the future of work. However, for us, for example, it is incredibly difficult. I mean, we did that, or we tried it to define in a certain type of KPIs, which I use this word now with caution, KPIs which some sort of are able to measure something else than the usual conventional ideas of how productivity is measured. You know, because productivity can be expressing itself in various ways, but unfortunately, in the end, in many cases, what really counts is something which can be quantified, which can be put into numbers, which can be put into figures, into reports. And I believe that a big task will not only be to think about organizational models of the future, not only thinking about how to create creativity, how to manage the teams, how to improve the processes involved, but it will be also how to define what productivity is, and I think that this is one of the crucial tasks in the future, to somehow find a definition of productivity, or several definitions of productivity, which are more encompassing than the narrow ones which are used today, and also to somehow put them into a framework, into types of KPIs. I call it again like that with caution, which can be also used in a way to, for example, communicate it to shareholders, or to anyone who really is also interested in results, because this will not be changed in the future. There still will be shareholders interested. There still will be some types of stakeholders interested, and I think productivity has to be shown to them. I think this is a very big challenge to define these type of KPIs also.
Absolutely. So we were talking here about quantifiable things, and Professor Schumer showed us two quantifiable things, two works of art. What about quality? And I don't want to talk about the quality of the art that your children made, but the quality of the art made in the workplace, a workplace where emotions and artisticness, artful thinking and acting is important. How would you deal with that, Professor?
Well, what I would define the quality as the experience that we generate, and is where arts and creativity can provide a new contribution. Quality is not only the intrinsic quality that we create into the products. Quality is also the perception that we have of products, and of course of services. So when we talk about the quality, we talk about the ability of creating intangible value, which is related to the experience, and the way how we experience the product is through our senses. And the way of affecting our senses is through the arts, the artistic processes, because the artists are the most experienced people in terms of affecting our own experience. And this is our common experience when we go to cinema or go to the theater, or when we listen to music, we got engaged with our senses, we live an experience, and that is improving the quality of our life, and that could improve the quality of work life and the quality of the products. So talking about the quality in the future will be about combining intrinsic and experiential dimension. And so that is my perspective of quality, and also about the, let me say really just one comment about efficiency, because that is very interesting. And what Georg was saying, I agree perfectly. We will need to look for a new concept of experience. I am an engineer by training. So for us, efficiency is, is the ability of improving, optimizing the output from the resources and the input that you have. But probably in the future, efficiency will be about a breakthrough. It's not just continuous improvement. It's about changing your way of looking at the reality and changing your paradigm. So we need to reframe also in the future, probably some of the concepts that are part of the old paradigm. And I would like, if you give me the opportunity, also to answer to one of the questions that was made by one of from the audience. What are possible examples of exercising creativity in high traditional hierarchical culture? The point is that, as Gary Hamel has stressed, that most of the traditional organizations are very bureaucratic. In a bureaucratic system, what is prevailing is control, standardization. And usually creativity, if you are lucky, is in a small silos dimension. So what we need to do is to move towards a new forms of organization. And Hamel is talking about humanocracy. So it's like a human-centric perspective that the Broer was bringing to the table, is recognize a new way of creating value. So in a very hierarchical organization, usually creativity is related to training, to some initiative, to innovation labs. So it's a kind of container silos. In some other organization that recognize the centrality of human being and the importance of creating experience and quality through the experience, creativity becomes pervasive. And then you have, for example, in the workplace, you bring arts everywhere. You can work about, for example, bringing arts in residence, or training the people in different way, giving the opportunity to people to be human-centric and then to be really agents for change and so on. So the way of looking at example of creativity in organization is very much also related to the kind of model of organization that we adopt. Thank you.
Thanks. Broer, I see you're eager to say something.
Yes, related to productivity, I see it more through value creation towards, you could say, individual, society, enterprises, etc. It's a combination of everything what you cannot, I would say, take in just the traditional productivity perspective. Here I would like to introduce the Japanese ikigai concept, because I think that is very valuable, because it starts from again the individual, what you are good at, what you love, what you need, what you are paid for, and then it grows internally to passion on what you do, profession, mission, vocation, and when you combine these, the whole flower is ikigai. So again, it shows, I think, as a concept very clearly the multidimensionality we need to talk about when we are looking at the future of the jobs and the meaning, purpose of the jobs as part of the you could say, human contribution to the society and well-being.
Very interesting. Let me ask, Georg, I see your hand is up. Yeah.
Yes, I just would like to add one thing about what Broer just said. I believe that value creation, as he already mentioned, has to have a type of holistic approach, including in particular and especially, so in particular also the employees themselves, the collaborators themselves, because in my opinion, if you have virtual teams, if you have a lot of space and time distance between the collaborators, and they don't, in many cases, even know themselves personally, it all goes then to a very big extent to their intrinsic motivation. So they have to see a value which is created to themselves by the project. They have to see that they have a type of growth possibility by the project. They have to see that their own creative ideas are some sort of put in, that the whole project is dynamically evolving because of their input. And this, in my opinion, can only be done when the value creation includes all of them, when everyone is feeling that they are part of the bigger whole, one big project. And if that is not the case, then in such type of teams, the risk is very high that people sooner or later are going into some sort of inner migration and just do what they want. It's much, much more risky, in my opinion, than in an organization which is working with traditional and hierarchical methods, and where the people can be more or less monitored and observed and managed all the time personally.
Yeah, very interesting. We've talked about human-centric organizations, artful organizations, the importance of emotions. But we did see from Clara's presentation that AI is capable of carrying on very interesting storytelling with people. I've seen AI-produced artwork. How important is it that the influence of art and the poetic imagination and maybe even the spiritual part of work is actually created by humans? Can't it be created by AI?
Well, of course, we need to use tools wherever we can. Like we use robotics for mechanical jobs, like we used office automation for certain tasks. Why not use artificial intelligence for those kind of tasks in which they can help us in moving to higher, better value proposition? Again, what was said about humans' aesthetical capabilities, I think that is a very important path to work on further when we are looking at arts versus artificial intelligence arts.
Someone else on this point? Or shall I say that there's so much popular literature online, in YouTube presentations, in TED Talks about AI and its importance in industry. The whole idea of grasp of using art to help people reflect. This is art created by people. Can we not have the same effect in organizations with art created by machine intelligence?
Well, I think, but if I can, I think that the new technologies are expanding our capacity for creativity. They are artifacts. I think we are still at the beginning of a revolution where we will be able to see how the artificial intelligence and other digital technology will equip us as human beings for creating even new solutions. You know, nowadays we are talking a lot about the metaverse as a new environment where we can be something else, or we can create something that we, you know, where we can exercise our imagination and can become a blonde, beautiful woman. I don't know, in the metaverse. So we can exercise our creativity and be something else, or create something that is completely. So I believe that this technology will extend our capacity. Of course, like every innovation has pros and cons, we need to be careful. We need to reflect how this is really, to what extent this is changing and improving the quality of life. That is, I think, it is a key point. I am optimistic that our quality of life is improving, and I trust that new technology will help to improve our quality of life with scanning of our body and preventing our disease. You know, we were checking from the previous speakers how the longevity we are getting thanks to the technology. So I think technology will help us to be more creative, to better exercise our cognitive capacity, and but then we need to also to see the dark side of the technologies. We need to recognize the dark side and be able to manage that.
Dark side. Yeah, Georg.
Perhaps I also have my 50 cents about it. I would actually believe that it's a type of attitude issue because new technologies can be seen as or can be used as something supplanting existing things or as something enhancing the capabilities in ways which would not be possible without the new technologies. And I think if that mindset goes into that direction, that we see new technologies as something, and then I'm already, I think, on the same track like Giovanni is. If we see it like that, then new technologies really can open up completely new dimensions for art and for all other types of human activities. And I think we should also see it like this. The metaverse, for example, is a good example. I believe many things which are possible there would not be possible without that type of technology. And who knows what artificial intelligence, for example, is what that can actually offer in the future.
Roar?
Yeah, here I think we come to one area where we should actually drive some experiments, prototypes, try to see how far we can go, what we can do, how jobs are changed, how art is changed, how I would say these enhanced tools, environments are helping us to creating something new. But again, real world prototypes.
How would you see that in practice?
Well, here, I first of all would look at those people in this conference and also in the network who actually could formulate these kind of real world experiments, looking at the artists, looking at those who know enough of modern technology, and then come with a common problem which we see the issue might be first problematic with, and go forward. So again, I would throw the ball first to well, Anja and Clara, and then to our technocrats.
Wonderful. I fully agree with you. I think the idea of taking some of the very interesting things that we've heard this evening, both from the keynotes and the roundtable, and testing them in real-life prototypes to see how much we can learn by doing. We're just about at the end of our time, so I'd just like to ask everyone to wrap up. Have you heard anything this evening that has changed your way of thinking, or that you want to pursue further after this session? Let me begin with Georg.
Well, the most, I mean, there were a lot of interesting inputs for me, but the most impressive one was for sure this idea of the value creation idea for all of the collaborators in a team, which of course at a certain to a certain extent we already tried to formulate, but which also would be something which we in our organization perhaps will further pursue in a type of prototype to see what we can actually offer to our collaborators, so that they are all really having, not only the organization is like some sort of having some impact, some lasting impact, but also the collaborators themselves, and then to align the goals and positive effects, both of collaborators and organization, into one big final result. So that would be the thing which I will take from here, and I thank you all very much for that input.
Great. Giovanni, your final thought.
Well, for me, I think it's a combination of concept bringing together, and and basically when we look at to arts and other fields, we always look at this as duality dimension. So we talk about bridging arts and technology, bridging arts and society, bridging arts and business. And I think we need to have a tetric model. So I think we need to see the combining technology, business, and arts together. And I think this is what I bring to, I take away from today, is to think how we could prototype solutions that combine arts, technology, and business together. And I think that is something that it would be interesting to experiment in the organization in the future. Thank you.
Well, I would like to.
And, Laura? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to continue directly from that, because I think your proposal is very interesting. I would just formulate it slightly differently from those two previous ones. Can we create an organization where you grab in tasks, drop tasks, grab in competencies, drop competencies when the task is evolving, and using arts as a glue and the new organizational forms, new competencies to find, orchestrate, and bridge the various competencies together in an optimal way to perform the tasks which the organization is supposed to do. Of course, Georg, you have many strings to draw to drive that kind of a prototype. But really, do the first proper organization with arts.
Let me thank our three guests. Very interesting conversation. I wish we had more time for it, but now I think it's time to hand back the floor to Leonore, our moderator for this evening.